Chapter 5 The Peabody's Visit. One afternoon, Guy came in and shouted, "Visitors for Copperfield!" I was very surprised as I wasn't expecting visitors. I was told to go and put on a clean shirt and then go to the dining room. When I was clean and tidy, I rushed to the dining room, certain that my mother and Mr. Murdstone had come to visit me. At first, I saw nobody in the room, but as I looked behind the door, I saw, to my amazement, Ham and Mr. Peabody standing there. We shook hands and laughed, happy to see each other again. Ham said, "It's fantastic to see you, Master Davy. Why, how you have grown!" "Have I grown?" I asked, drying my eyes. Ham and Mr. Peabody agreed that I had indeed grown, and we began laughing again. "Do you know how my mother is, Mr. Peabody?" I asked. "And how is my dear, dear old Peabody?" "Peabody is well, and little Emily and Mrs. Gummidge, everyone is quite well, Davy," said Ham. Later on, I thought that it was strange that Mr. Peabody hadn't answered my question about my mother. There was a silence, and to relieve it, Mr. Peabody took 2 huge lobsters, an enormous crab, and a large canvas bag of shrimps out of his pocket and piled them up in Ham's arms. "You see," said Mr. Peabody, "we know how much you like our fresh seafood. We thought we would bring some with us. Mrs. Gummidge boiled them just the way you like them." I expressed my thanks and asked Mr. Peabody how he came to be at my school. He explained that he was in the area and that his sister asked him to come see me. Mr. Peabody told me that Emily had grown into a young woman and that Ham really liked her. Emily had received an education and could read and write very well and had turned into a pretty woman. I am sure that Ham would have said more about darling Emily if Steerforth hadn't seen us. On seeing us deep in conversation, he turned to walk away, but I called after him, "Don't go, Steerforth. I would like to introduce you. These are 2 Yarmouth boatmen, very good and kind people. They are relatives of my nurse, and they have come a long way to see me." Steerforth shook hands with him both and said how glad he was to meet him. They seemed to like each other, and I promised to take Steerforth with me to Yarmouth if I ever got the chance to. I told Mr. Peabody that Steerforth was my friend and that he was very kind to me. I also said that I didn't know how I would manage at Salem House without him. "Nonsense," said Steerforth, laughing. "Copperfield and I are friends. We look out for each other, that's all." I repeated my invitation to Steerforth to visit Yarmouth and told him about Peabody's house. "You never saw such an amazing house, Steerforth. It's made out of a boat." "Made out of a boat, is it?" said Steerforth. "It sounds just the right sort of a house for a boatman." Mr. Peabody agreed that it was. "I thank you, sir," he said, "for the kind way in which you have treated my nephew and me. I am a rough man, sir, and my house isn't much to see, but there's always a place for you if you ever want to come with Master Davy." Ham and Mr. Peabody shook hands once again with Steerforth before they left. Nobody saw us carrying the shellfish up into our room, and we ate a fantastic seafood supper that evening. The rest of the year is a jumble in my mind of the daily struggle of our lives. The evening schoolroom was dimly lit and the morning schoolroom freezing cold. I remember boiled beef and roast beef, and boiled mutton and roast mutton, of bread and butter, dog-eared lesson books, tear-blotted copybooks, caning, rulers, hair cuttings, rainy Sundays, and suet puddings. The holiday had arrived at last, and I was waiting for somebody to send for me. I had counted months, weeks, and then days, and I couldn't wait to leave Salem House. As soon as I was sent for, I shouted my goodbye and left quickly. I broke my journey at a little inn and was shown up to a nice little bedroom with dolphin painted on the door. Mr. Parks, the carrier, was to call for me in the morning at 9 o'clock. I got up at 8 and was ready for him way before 9 o'clock. Mr. Parks greeted me exactly as if he had seen me yesterday. As soon as I and my box were in the cart, I turned to him and said, "You look very well, Mr. Parks." Mr. Parks rubbed his cheek with his cuff, but didn't acknowledge my compliment. "I give her your message, Mr. Parks," I said. "I wrote a letter to Peabody." Mr. Parks still didn't answer me. "Wasn't it right, Mr. Parks?" I asked. "The message was correct," said Mr. Parks, but nothing came of it. There was no answer. I told him that I didn't know that he was expecting a reply. Mr. Parks looked at his horse's ears and said quietly, "You might tell her that I am still waiting for an answer." It was a strange feeling to be going home. Mr. Parks put my box down at the garden gate and left me alone. I walked up to the house, worried that I would see Mr. Murdstone or Miss Murdstone along the way. The door was unlocked and I walked into the house quietly. My mother was sitting alone by the fire with a baby in her arms. She was looking into his face and singing. Nobody had written to tell me that I had a baby brother. My mother seemed happy to see me and called me her dear Davy, her own boy. She came across the room to meet me and kissed me, the baby still in her arms. "He's your brother," said my mother, cuddling me. Peabody came running in and sat down between us. We were so happy together. Mr. and Miss Murdstone were out for the evening, and so the three of us ate dinner in the kitchen. I felt so happy there. I told Peabody about Mr. Parks, which made her laugh and throw her apron over her face. Peabody cried, "My mother, what's the matter?" Peabody laughed again and held her apron tight over her face. "Oh, that man," she giggled. "He wants to marry me? It would be a very good match for you, wouldn't it?" said my mother. "Oh, I don't know," said Peabody. "Don't ask me. I don't want to marry anybody." "Then you should tell him so," said my mother. "How can I tell him?" asked Peabody, "when he has never spoken to me about it? If he does speak to me about marriage, I will slap his face." She laughed out loud and continued to eat. I looked at my mother as she ate. She was still very pretty, but she looked very thin and white. She was anxious and flustered as she put her hand on Peabody's arm. "Don't leave me, Peabody. Stay with me. It won't be for long. What would I do without you?" "Me leave you, my precious?" cried Peabody. "Never!" My mother thanked her for her love and loyalty, and Peabody covered her head with the apron again. The baby was fed, and the dishes cleared away, and the three of us sat in front of the fire. I told them about Mr. Creakle and Steerforth and about my life at Salem House School. We were so happy that evening, just the three of us. It was the last happy night I ever spent in that house. Later that night I read Peabody a chapter out of the crocodile book. It was almost 10 o'clock when we heard the sound of wheels. All three of us got up and my mother sent me off to bed before my stepfather came in. I kissed her and went quickly to my room. I was worried about going down to breakfast the following morning, as I hadn't seen Mr. Murdstone since the day I left for school. After 2 or 3 stops along the way, I presented myself in the parlor. Mr. Murdstone was standing with his back to the fire and Miss Murdstone was making the tea. He didn't show any sign of recognition, so I went to him and said, "I beg your pardon, sir. I'm very sorry for what I did. I hope you will forgive me." "I am glad to hear you are sorry, David," he replied. We shook hands, and I turned to his sister. "How do you do, madam?" I said. "Oh, dear me," she sighed. giving me the tea caddy scoop instead of her hand. How long are the holidays? I told her the holidays were a month long. Miss Murdstone was very unhappy at this news. She kept a calendar of the holidays and every morning checked the day off. When she got to 10 days, she seemed much happier. It was on this day that I took the baby from my mother's lap. I held it very carefully in my arms. Miss Murdstone gave such a scream that I nearly dropped it. She was very upset that I was holding the baby and tried to take it away from me. I was very uncomfortable in the house and seemed to upset everyone in it except Peabody. Sometimes in the evening I would sit with Peabody in the kitchen where I was comfortable and not afraid to be myself. Mr. and Miss Murdstone didn't approve of this practice. After dinner one evening Mr. Murdstone said, "David, I'm sorry to see that you are a dull boy." I stood still and hung my head. My mother tried to protect me from her husband's cruel words, but was shouted at for her trouble. Mr. Murdstone said that I should change my character or he would change it for me. "I beg your pardon, sir," I stammered. "I didn't mean to be gloomy." My stepfather then called me a liar. "You have kept to your own room instead of being with the rest of the family. You know that I require you to be here and not in your room. Furthermore, David, I require your absolute obedience. Sit down." He spoke to me like a dog, and I obeyed like a dog. He then told me that I wasn't to spend my time with the servants. I wasn't allowed to sit in the kitchen and gossip with Peabody, and warned me of what he would do to me if I didn't obey him. I spent my time alone, sitting quietly in the parlor day after day, looking forward to night and bedtime. I was frightened to move or fidget because Miss Murdstone complained about my every moment. I went for walks alone, down muddy lanes in the bad winter weather. I ate my meals in silence, worried that I was making too much noise with my cutlery or eating too much, or that my chair would scrap the floor as I stood up. In the evenings, when the candles were lit, I had to read difficult arithmetic books, which made me yawn and doze in the firelight. It was a relief when the clock chimed 9 and it was time for bed. My holiday dragged along like this until at last the morning arrived when Miss Murdstone said, "Here's the last day checked off." She was very happy that I was going back to school. I wasn't sorry to go back to school. I looked forward to seeing Steerforth and Traddles, and was quite delighted when I saw Mr. Parkes appear at the gate and pick up my box. I kissed my mother and my baby brother goodbye, and my mother hugged me like she didn't want me to leave.